Hi guys, I'm Drutska and I'm here to tell you about the most exciting international events of the past few days. So I will tell you about Trump's and Xi's little phone chat, Trump post-inaugurational travel plans, and of course the latest gems from my favorite European prime ministers, Slovakia Robert Fico and Hungary's Viktor Orban. So let's start with the unexpected phone call between Donald Trump and China's leader Xi Jinping. Trump says the conversation was about trade and social media. According to Trump, it was a very good call for both China and the US. He added, I hope we can solve many problems together and start immediately. President Xi and I will do everything possible, he said, to make the world more peaceful and safe place. Well, meanwhile, China's state news agency Xinhua gave us their version of the chat. So they made it very clear that it was Trump who initiated the call. They admitted that while there are major differences between the two countries, it's worth finding ways to work together. Naturally, they brought up two of their favorite topics. First, Taiwan. China hopes the US will act cautiously on that matter. Translation, stay out of it. Second, economic and trade relations. They don't want any conflicts here. Makes sense, given that Trump's previous threats of a 60% tariff on Chinese goods, Interestingly, just before a few hours before the call, China's foreign ministry announced that they are sending Vice President Han Zhang to the US inauguration on January 20th. That's right, for the first time for China. And for the context, Trump did invite Xi Jinping to his inauguration, but Xi declined. But this is not surprising, given that Xi hasn't attended other big global events like the coronation of King Charles III, Queen Elizabeth II funeral, or Mandela's memorial. Instead, he sends his vice presidents. Han even showed up for King Charles' coronation. And in case you were wondering about Trump's travel plans, he has already told his advisors that he intends to visit China soon after taking office. According to the Wall Street Journal, Trump's aiming to make his trip within the first 100 days as president. If you remember, during his first term, it took him nearly a year to visit China. And this time he wants to go as soon as possible. Why? To strengthen ties with Xi, of course. But let's not forget those tariffs. China clearly wants to negotiate and slow Trump's plans down. And a face-to-face meeting might be their best chance to do that. Honestly, this whole situation is fascinating. I cannot wait to see what happens after Trump's inauguration and those crucial first 100 days. Let me know in the comments, what do you think Trump will prioritize, both in domestic policies and internationally? What changes do you hope to see, my dear American friends? I'm reading all your comments, so don't hold back. Before I continue, I want to thank all of you who send coffees on Buy Me a Coffee and become patrons for this channel. Please do so. If you want more videos on the channel, you can also support this channel by subscribing to it and like this video, because it will definitely help Ukrainian content to be seen by more people, and hopefully more people will hate Russia. I suggest you also subscribe to my Twitter page, where I post regular updates about the situation in Ukraine, and to my Instagram, where I post the daily life in Ukraine. Now, moving on. France has accused Russia of targeting a French naval navigation plane over the Baltic Sea with their S-400 air defense system. According to French Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu, this was an act of intimidation. The French plane was patrolling international airspace, monitoring suspicious vessel near Sweden's coast. Le Cornu called Russia's actions unacceptable and vowed that French forces will continue ensuring freedom of navigation in international air and sea zones. If that wasn't enough, let's not forget the recent uptick in incidents involving critical infrastructure in the Baltic Sea. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, things have gone from bad to worse. In November 2024, cables between Lithuania and Sweden, as well as Finland and Germany, were cut. In December, Finland and Sweden's fiber optic cable was damaged, along with the S-Link 2 power cable connecting Finland and Estonia. Coincidence? I don't think so. Record number of Russian companies complain about sanctions since the start of the war. Apparently, Russian businesses are facing increasing problems due to sanctions, despite Vladimir Putin's claims that Western restrictions have benefited the economy and caused an industrial boom. A recent survey by the Institute of Economic Forecasting of the Russian Academy of Science in November 2024 revealed that nearly 70% of top managers from major Russian companies admitted their businesses were hurt by sanctions. Let's take a moment to appreciate the irony. None of these managers found anything remotely beneficial about the sanctions. Well, the share of companies struggling with sanctions has reached a record high since the start of the war. Back in April-May 2022, 59.2% of companies reported issue. By the end of 2022, the number rose to 66.2%. There was a slight dip to 60.6% in spring 2023, but since then, it has climbed steadily to 65.2% in spring 2024 and now 69.3%. Well, clearly, Putin's promises sanction immunity isn't holding up so well, but hey, as long as propaganda keeps rolling, right? As of January 1st, Ukraine has officially ended gas transit, something we repeatedly communicated at the highest level. Let me remind you, Ukraine even offered Slovakia assistance during its adaptation to the loss of Russian gas transit, but Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico arrogantly refused and instead doubled down on his bet with Moscow. Brilliant strategy, right? Unsurprisingly, this was a big mistake. Fast forward, and Fico is now declaring he is not a servant of Ukraine and threatening to veto further EU financial aid for Ukraine. But here's what I think. Leadership is measured by the ability to uphold, shares European values, and support those defending them at great cost. Decisions driven by short-term interests only highlight where true independence and sovereignty actually exists, or where they don't. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, as usual, came through with another masterpiece of diplomacy. He's now calling for Brussels to throw sanctions out the window and restore relations with Russia. Because, the best way to deal with an aggressor is just to pretend nothing happened. Orban even praised Hungary's accomplishments during his EU presidency, claiming that they made peace a big topic. Sure, Viktor, everyone's talking about peace, but maybe not in the way you imagine. He continued his wisdom by declaring Brussels need time to sober up because you are currently in a state of drunkenness. Oh, the irony. According to Orban, Ukraine is a serious economic threat to Europe. Seriously? and needs protective measures to prevent damage to Hungary's and Poland's agricultural economies. Viktor, are the basic economic competition principles hurting your feelings or what? And then, cherry on the top, we are talking about a country that can't stand on its own 2 feet. Without Western money, it wouldn't even be a country today, said Orban. Oh, Viktor, as they say, the pot calling the kettle black. Maybe Hungary should look in the mirror before commenting on dependency. And to wrap things up, our favorite rubrics, the Russian elite. In the city of Perm, in Russia, a veteran of the special military operation, Golovin, brutally murdered the head of the investigative committee's department, Sidorkin, with an axe. He struck him 81 times. That's it for today, and I want to thank all of you for supporting Ukraine, watching Ukrainian content. Please like this video, and if you really like it, and if you want more videos like that, you can support the channel's development by becoming members to this channel or supporting on Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee. See you soon, and Slava Ukraini!